Hello world, it's Angelot and it's hella cold here. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area now and I'm from Florida, so still adjusting. Alright, so let us go over a really fun D3 plugin called fisheye, which is for fisheye distortion. And let's look it up real quick. D3 plugins. I'll go to the plugins repository, and here we have it. We have the documentation. I'm going to include this file in my tributary. Call it fisheye, and hit enter. Now we have it. Alright, so let's get going. The first thing I'm actually going to do is go to the Noun project and grab a couple icons. I can just click on this path, copy paste it, or copy it. Do fish.svg, paste it in here, and give it an ID of fish. And then here I have this, copy that. We're going to make this just a G element, the ID I. Alright, so we got our two little things here. We're going to just extract the path attribute from this fish. Oops. So to see that, sweet, we get the path. So that means we can make a bunch of fish, which is what we're going to do. And I'm also going to select the fish and set its display to none. Cool. And let's grab the eye. We'll use it in a second. What I want to do is make a bunch of fish on the screen so I can distort them. So we'll make our data, use underscore map, d3.range. So this is going to make an array. This makes an array with 100 elements that go from 0 to 100. And what I'm going to do is return an object for each one of those things. Give it an index, because why not? And in a second I'm going to make some calculations on these, but first let's draw a fish for each one of those. Say some fishies. Enter, make it G, class it fish. So I'm going to append a path elements. Set the D attribute to fish D. I'll just gotta say true. So there's all our fishies. So let's make their position data driven. So that doesn't really help us much. Let's do some calculations. We're gonna make a grid of fishes. So in order to do that, we can make them. The X position will be every 10th fish. It will start over at 0. So we can just multiply this by a number. So the bigger we make this number, the more they'll spread out. But now we need to make the Y. We're going to divide that by 10. We're going to round this and multiply it by spacing. Nice. Cool, so we have our fishies. We can, oops, not these. Here we can style them. Let's see. So, fill opacity. So, give them a stroke opacity. Maybe a stroke width. Cool, so we got our fish. Now the trick to the fisheye is that we want wherever our mouse goes, or you can do it however you want, wherever you want to add the distortion, but we want to make it wherever our mouse goes will distort the fish position using that. You know what? Maybe we should start with not the mouse movement. So the way it works is we need to make a fisheye function. So we do d3.fisheye.circular, and then we can call fisheye.focus and give it 2 numbers. So if we give it something like the middle of the screen, that'll focus there. Now we need to update the transform. Oops, sorry, this should be a data-driven function. So we'll want to do this same thing, except we'll call fisheye on our D element, and then we'll do F1. So now we have some distortion here, right? And we can control the parameters of this with 2 things: radius and distortion. So if we increase the radius, that's, you know, how far the distortion goes, and if we distort more or less. We can also, there's a third component to the fisheye, fe.z, which is like a scaling component. So the fish will get bigger as we distort them. Or smaller as we make it. And we can increase the radius or decrease it. Alright, so now we have our fish being distorted, and we've set the parameters on that. What we want to do is do it when we move the mouse. So we're just going to take the SVG, and we're going to do on mouse move, and we're going to get the coordinates of the mouse using d3.mouse of this. And to sort of show where the mouse is first, I'm going to take the eye and change its position, translate. We'll just do mouse here. So now it's following me, right? I'm going to center that a little bit, so I'm going to actually go in here and make this a little bigger. Split these on a little bit less. So we'll do mouse 0 minus 40, mouse 1 minus 40. If we subtracted too much there, it's about right. Okay, so now we're following the eye's following our mouse. We just need to make the fish eye focus on the mouse, And then we just need to call this again, basically. Fisheye. Get it? So what's happening here, right? The fisheye is calculating, basically, we're going through all the fish, and each fish has position data, right? D.X and D.Y. And so fisheye depends on that. So whatever you pass in to fisheye has to be an object of the form X and Y for it to work. And what it does is it calculates the distance from wherever the focus is, so wherever the eye is, right, to whatever thing you gave it, and depending on that distance, it moves the X and Y coordinate for you, and also gives you a scale. So we can like pump up the distortion and see that more clearly. Crazy distortion. And this radius determines how far from the eye you go, basically. So there you have it, new fisheye plugin. I do it. Alright, I'll catch y'all later.